industrial pattern of the world today has been shaped through the years by its basic dependence on fast and efficient transportation. The broad waterways, man's first road to progress, still bear their heavy cargoes. But to carry transportation beyond the winding riverbeds came the railroads, whose freight cars cut straight paths through the land. Giant trailer trucks now run night and day schedules, and fast passenger cars go wherever highways are laid down. Huge airliners circle the globe, but all these are limited by costly steel rails and concrete roads, by sprawling airports that require heavy government subsidies. Today, a new vehicle, the helicopter, needs no landing fields, no right-of-way on land or water, as demonstrates tremendous usefulness in the progress of humanity. There are no restrictions to helicopter flight. This modern magic carpet takes off and lands wherever its rotor can spin. Helicopters go straight up and hover in midair. Unlike any other vehicle ever made, they fly in any direction, sideways and backward as well as forward. They are the most maneuverable vehicles created by man. Helicopter operators throughout the world are finding for these craft an endless variety of jobs in industry, in agriculture, and for the government. In the power industry, helicopters are used to patrol high-tension lines in inaccessible areas. This work was previously done from the ground with the aid of binoculars. In helicopters, inspectors fly slowly along the line and hover wherever necessary to make detailed checks of insulators and wiring. Operators under contract have patrolled lines in mountains 1.5 miles high in desert heat of 112 degrees. One helicopter averages 300 miles of power lines in a day, does the work of 60 linemen. Helicopters also patrol oil pipelines, where leaks are easily spotted from the air when flying at the slow speeds possible. These craft are useful for inspecting irrigation systems and for checking all types of linear installations. In the dense bayou country of lower Louisiana, where only cumbersome and slow-moving marsh buggies have penetrated before, these helicopters are used in making extensive geophysical surveys for large oil interests. Equipped with pontoons, the craft can be set down anywhere in the swamp, carrying magnetic equipment to determine the existence of oil structures in the marshes. A technician sets up the instruments and makes the required readings. The helicopter takes off and hovers above the point where the reading is being made. This provides a fixing point for engineers stationed on distant platforms throughout the swamp, who chart the exact location of the reading. The craft then settles alongside the operator to take him and his equipment to the next location. In routine week-by-week work, helicopters have averaged more than 24 readings per day, compared to 4 per day when other methods are used. For cross-country travel, the helicopter offers a new freedom from restrictions of the past. It flies above earthbound traffic as fast or as slow as desired. The ability to slow down and hover makes possible safe flying in weather that would ground fixed-wing aircraft. This feature, together with the helicopter's ability to land almost anywhere at a moment's notice, greatly increases its range of safe flying weather. The pilot can follow the highways on cross-country trips or chart a straight line course patterned after the standard air lanes. Long trips are made without tiring the pilot, since a unique stabilizing device in these helicopters makes for smooth and steady flight and eliminates the need for constant manipulation of the controls. Cross-country business trips as long as 1,300 miles have been made in these machines over the country's most mountainous terrain. Personal transportation, which eventually will become a major function for the helicopter, is already important in its contribution to commerce and industry. This versatile craft adds a new dimension to the travel possibilities provided by airplane and auto. Airline transportation, while reducing long-distance travel time, is from airport to airport and presents the problem of getting to the destination itself. The helicopter, which flies above city traffic, can be an important time saver. busy executives now go directly to the door and thus cut travel time to a minimum. In addition, materials of high priority or great value may be transported rapidly and safely in the baggage compartments of these rotorcraft. Newspapers have found these aerial platforms ideal for photographic and news assignments and are using them for this purpose from East Coast to West Coast. The speed which is possible through their use is an important news-gathering asset. The helicopter picks up the photographer at the newspaper itself, flies to the scene of the news, and returns directly to the plant with the film, all in one rapid non-stop flight. Within minutes, the pictures are rolling off giant newspaper presses. Photographs made from helicopters have provided a spectacular new eye view for newspaper readers and have proved themselves valuable circulation builders. And in an ageless event which becomes of primary importance toward the end of every year, the helicopter has brought a revolutionary change. To a large and enthusiastic section of our population, it has outmoded an older and more traditional vehicle to bring out of temporary retirement the most awaited for man of the year. For agriculture, so important are the uses of these helicopters that special models are being manufactured, specifically designed for work in this field. With built-in spraying and dusting equipment, helicopters have rendered immeasurable assistance to the farmer and grower in their unending fight against insects, disease, and weeds. The flight characteristics of the helicopter are remarkably suited to crop dusting. The rotor's downwash not only increases dusting efficiency, but creates an upward swirl which provides the most thorough coating of the entire foliage yet achieved by agricultural equipment. Ground equipment for dusting and spraying is thorough in its coverage, but is slow and cumbersome, and can only be used when the ground is dry. Its heavy wheels pack the soil and damage an appreciable percentage of the crops. Airplane dusting depends on gravity and natural air currents and is hazardous because of the great speed required. The helicopter suffers from none of these limitations. Its extreme versatility permits it to fly at any speed and altitude, and in the direction best suited for a particular crop. The rotor downwash agitates the air and pumps the dust deep into the foliage, assuring an even and complete covering of both upper and lower sides of the leaves. Control of the craft is so precise, it can be easily pivoted to spread dust into slight irregularities when following the contour of the field. It spreads a swath effective for insect control from 50 to 120 feet wide at any speed from 0 to 80 miles per hour, and it flies as low or as high as necessary. It operates effectively in small fields, turning in less space than that required by a tractor, and dusts in both directions with a minimum of time lost. Wooded areas too dangerous for other aircraft can easily be dusted by helicopter. In extremely hard-to-reach places, the helicopter can be turned smoothly to force dust into the corners. The helicopter's ability to hover permits the pilot to be in constant touch with those on the ground, and if necessary, to get new instructions as each specific assignment is completed. But even more important as a time saver is the fact that the helicopter need not go back to an airport when its hoppers are empty. It can land directly in the field itself to replenish its load of chemicals. The hoppers, designed to carry 400 pounds of dust, are easily serviced from the ground. This means a minimum of time lost in loading. In all, it permits the helicopter to average 40 to 50 minutes of useful work in each hour, as against the 7 to 10 minutes usually credited to fixed-wing dusters. In the cranberry bogs of Massachusetts, where there are more than 14,000 acres on Cape Cod alone, helicopters average 56 hours of flying time per week. Despite the fact that at least 2,000 of these bogs are smaller than 3 acres each, helicopters dusted an acre a minute. In comparison, ground equipment requires a full day for 10 acres. Helicopter dusting is 95 to 100% effective against plant-killing girdler worms and other pests, and has increased the crop yield more than 10%. In the rich vegetable and fruit-growing belt of the Northwest, helicopters have become an indispensable farm implement. Using every type of chemical available for aerial work, these craft operate with unusual efficiency, averaging more than an acre a minute. Thorough coverage of the fruit trees is guaranteed by the down thrust of the rotor blades. Frequent fog in the blueberry fields of New England has prevented routine dusting by airplanes, yet helicopters have been able to work on schedule in this area without delays. For more than 2 seasons, helicopters have been operating in the large hops fields in the state of Washington, employing DN dust for the control of mites. Connecticut's delicate shade-grown tobacco is safeguarded by these rotor craft, and in a famous potato-growing county, one helicopter dusted 6,144 acres in 53 hours, an average of more than 100 acres per hour. Throughout the country, every type of crops, cabbage, beans, tomatoes, lettuce, and corn, are being made more plentiful by the employment of helicopters. There are many other uses for these aerial tools. Lumbermen have found them valuable in keeping a check on forest operations and in locating log jams. The rotor downwash has been used for frost prevention and in cherry orchards to blow rainwater off the ripe fruit and thus prevent spotting and splitting. On the huge ranches of the West and Southwest, helicopters provide an asset in transportation and other uses, such as making herd counts and rounding up cattle in rough terrain. These helicopters are active in foreign lands as well. In Canada, they have dusted corn, flax, and other crops. Weed killers are used in the huge wheat plains in the central part of the Dominion, with results that are remarkably effective in eradicating wild mustard and similar weeds. Across the ocean in Sweden, England, and other countries, they are in daily operation to increase the yield of vital crops. A fleet of Bell helicopters is providing South America with a solution to an age-old problem. Annual locust plagues have destroyed in one season as much as $25 million worth of the corn crop alone in Argentina. Locust swarms so thick they blot out the sun are fought by the helicopters in an intensive control program. In a single 4-day offensive against the voracious pests, 45,000 pounds of dust were scattered by 2 helicopters alone. The craft not only fly above, but often directly through the locust swarms, a type of control which is not feasible for conventional airplanes. The helicopters achieve unprecedented success in these operations, which are 98% effective. In addition to these many applications in industry and agriculture, numerous government agencies have also found important values in the unique flight characteristics of the versatile craft. They have demonstrated their worth in speeding delivery of mail on shuttle runs. This is particularly important in moving mail between airport and post office, and in suburban deliveries from large metropolitan centers, where heavy traffic has always been a delaying factor. The post office roof itself becomes the helicopter's delivery platform, and airmail thus goes all the way by air. Forest rangers have found the craft highly useful, particularly for fire control. Game counts and similar work in isolated areas are greatly facilitated by the helicopter, which can outmaneuver the swiftest animals and herd them toward areas where feeding conditions are more favorable. The craft also tremendously speeds the work of fish planting in hard-to-reach waters. Municipalities and other civic agencies find the helicopter useful in making surveys of various types, such as charting traffic flow at dangerous intersections to determine the causes of accidents and the type of control best suited for each specific danger spot. The National Polio Foundation enlisted the use of helicopters to combat the spread of the dreaded disease by dusting garbage dumps and other fly-breeding areas with DDT. For the armed forces, these multi-purpose aircraft have become standard components of training maneuvers only. In the face of sub-zero weather and other extreme conditions, helicopters have proved their value for liaison work, ground control of artillery fire, rescue missions, and a wide variety of other assignments for Army, Navy, and Coast Guard. These many applications of the helicopter have called for production on a quantity scale. The work has been planned in standard assemblies, making possible a high degree of specialization. with each worker doing his own particular job. Every item in the Bell helicopter has a background of intensive rotary wing pioneering by the company which designed and built the world's first commercially licensed helicopter. Unique feature of the Bell helicopter, important in winning it the world's first commercial license, is its patented stabilizer bar, which acts like a gyroscope on the rotor blades, counteracting any sudden changes of blade angle. This creates a steadiness in flight little affected by choppy weather or turbulent air currents from the ground below. It makes for control so perfect that when necessary, the craft can be flown directly into its hangar, or it can be landed with precision on a platform no larger than the floats themselves. Another factor in the Bell helicopter's commercial rating is its ability to make auto-rotation landings in case of engine failure, even in rough fields with almost no forward run. A freewheeling device disengages the rotor from the engine so that it acts as a kind of parachute, spinning by air pressure alone. These craft, designed for utility, are styled for comfort as well. This two-place model provides a roomy coupe-type cabin, soundproof to keep out engine noise. It has wide automobile-type doors and windows, and excellent views in all directions are provided by large areas of clear plastic. Flying the craft requires a trained pilot, but is basically simple. A control stick determines direction of flight, sideways and backward as well as forward. Foot pedals turn the craft in the desired direction. For up and down control, a lever beside the seat is raised or lowered, and the handle is a grip-type throttle. For maintenance, all parts of the helicopter are within easy reach of the mechanic, with a minimum of special tools required. The craft is as easy to service with gas and oil as an automobile, and can be rolled through any standard garage door, eliminating the need for airplane hangars. To provide pilots and mechanics for the multitude of jobs in which these Bell helicopters are being used, training programs have been established by operators throughout the world. Hub of this activity is the helicopter training school conducted by the Bell Aircraft Corporation itself. Here, carefully chosen students are given intensive classroom instruction in rotary wing theory and maintenance, as well as actual flight training. The growing number of CAA helicopter ratings is a guarantee of expert handling for the many tasks at hand. And a younger generation of helicopter pilots and mechanics is already in the making. The work that is being done by these aircraft is of vast importance. The enthusiastic reception that they have been given by operators everywhere, and the numerous new applications for which they are daily used, are strong evidence of the helicopter's immense values in meeting the transportation needs of the world. The basic pioneering phase of rotary wing development is in the past. A new industry has been founded, with production in quantities assuring continued design progress based on wide operational experience. In addition to those already in manufacture, new models are constantly being developed. Their present usefulness forecasts the limitless utility of this modern magic carpet in the expanding pattern of civilization.